the stage by Hobie Buford, the creator and inventor of BAWLS.
Yeah, me!
And also John Gunnarsson, current CEO of BAWLS.
Yeah, John!
So yeah, just quick context on what we're about to see. So about a year ago, I was coming off the back of a couple short film projects that I wasn't quite happy with, and I was trying to find a project I could do that would be something I could do mostly by myself, that I was passionate about, and BAWLS just kind of became a thing in my mind. I was like, you know, BAWLS is a brand that has been around 30 years, which is a big deal because a lot of drinks have not lasted that long. And I just decided, you know what, there's a void that needs to be filled. I feel like this brand and this community needs a better spotlight. It's fueled our game sessions for 3 decades, and it just kind of organically grew from there. Just a couple of interviews here and there. Next thing I knew, these guys were being interviewed, and it just grew into this big thing. So yeah, this is a project made by fans, for fans, just as a way to kind of give thanks to this community, all of you, and also to these gentlemen up here, and to just, yeah, to shine a light on this awesome community. Yeah.
So, I really want to thank everyone for everything. It's really incredible to think that when I did the BAWLS business plan in college, the spring of 1995, that 30 years later, you know, it'd still be going strong. And it's really wonderful to see how it still remains so important to the community and was really so important to us. So I'm very excited to see what Brendan's created. He's actually brought back a lot of great memories going through all this and working with him to create this. So thank you to you and thank you to all of you.
I want to say a quick thanks to our terrific BAWLS team who's been slinging BAWLS cases all week. Rick and Tony and of course my family, who I fly in to do the same. Brandon, I can't thank you enough for all the time and energy that you've put into this project. It's just incredible. And Annika, who's put up with all of your time spent on BAWLS. And Hobie, being on stage with you is just a real thrill for me because we spend every day with that BAWLS that you created and built, and you and Christina built a foundation that 30 years later is still standing strong.
Yeah!
Most importantly, I want to thank everybody in this room because you guys are the BAWLS fans who drive our business every day. You guys bring the energy and the fun to our brand, and I can't thank you enough. So, enjoy the documentary.
Need a little something to take the edge off? It's good. It's good? Oh, it's good, all right. It'll calm you right down. It's called BAWLS.
Anybody who watches this documentary, if they haven't tried BAWLS, it will be absolutely positively mandatory for them, and they will buy it.
The bumpy blue bottle and the name, come on.
It was my senior project in college.
It tastes incredible.
There are no vitamins, no minerals. It won't make you healthy. It'll just keep you up.
The bottle is iconic.
It's a cool piece of glass. It's got a really great look, feel, model. It looks awesome.
But in any case, the balls are really big.
I can't tell you the number of people who've said this will never work. Like, you're wasting your time.
It's completely different than everything else, and that sets it apart.
It's iconic. It's absolutely iconic. It's always been iconic.
This BAWLS Original is like really special, and there's really nothing like it.
We need to get better as a society of celebrating and supporting a company that, against all odds, has survived almost 30 years by just being BAWLS.
BAWLS!
BAWLS! BAWLS.
BAWLS. BAWLS.
BAWLS.
BAWLS.
All right, here we go.
I just feel like they were really far ahead in the energy soda thought process. I look at them as contemporaries of Josta. So this was a product that was around in the kind of mid-90s, and that was what put Guarana on my radar, was Josta.
Josta. You better do the good stuff now.
There's two brands out there that kind of transcended the industry as far as the energy drink industry goes. And one of them everybody knows is Red Bull, right? I mean, Red Bull created a category, created a lifestyle. I worked there as well for a little while. The other one is known by the fringe people as Jolt.
Jolt Cola. Is this stuff for real? All the sugar and twice the caffeine. Great.
Great stuff, Harv. It's the caffeine. This is wonderful.
Here's a can of Jolt from the launch. So this is a 1985 can of Jolt. So that was like a fixture of growing up, like sleepovers at your friend's house where you just want to stay up all night and be bouncing off the walls. And then that became Surge and Josta sometime in like the late 90s. I just think like, how much more fun would it be to have BAWLS instead, right? Because you get the glass bottle.
He's the owner of Miami-based Hobarama, an independent bottled beverage company. They make the high caffeine drink BAWLS Guarana.
Hi, I'm Hobie Bupert, and these are the headquarters for BAWLS Guarana.
Hobarama, may I help you?
It's a freaking awesome name. Hobie Bupert, that's just awesome.
So it was my senior year in college. I went to Cornell University and I needed 3 credits. I was 3 credits short of graduating, but I completed everything I needed to. So I decided to do an independent study, visiting one of my classmates in Austria. And this is when Red Bull was just taking off there. And I was really intrigued that we were in bars and nightclubs and people were buying things that didn't contain alcohol. And it wasn't cheap either. I want to say it was like $10 a bottle or something. And this is back then. So I was like, this is pretty wild. So that sort of stuck in my head. I was like, well, maybe that would be a cool project to develop. So I did that business plan my last semester in school. I don't think I ever planned to really work for anyone else. Starting my own company was probably always in my mind. And since when I graduated, I had this business plan done. It was sort of what was right in front of me.
So the product is basically a high caffeine soft drink. The guarana berry is a berry similar to the coffee bean. It contains a lot of caffeine.
So in the original business plan, it actually was a high caffeine tonic water because I've seen it in nightclubs. So I was thinking like gin and tonic, vodka tonic. So that's not in the original business plan in guarana.
That's what we make a soft drink with. It contains about triple the caffeine of Coca-Cola.
Then what happened was that summer after college, I did a summer business program at the Chinese University in Hong Kong. And while I was there on weekends, I would travel and I went to go visit a friend of mine's sister, her group of friends. A bunch of them had just been in Brazil and they're like, have you ever heard of this stuff guarana? It's amazing, it contains caffeine. And I was like, no, but it stuck in my mind. So when I got home, I started investigating guarana and it sort of made sense. Like it's a source of caffeine, it was unique, it's different. Sodas already existed in Brazil, which I didn't know. You know, a big difference was when I started this, the internet did not exist. So you couldn't Google things. Like you had to look up trade magazines and you had to call people and ask stupid questions. It was, I don't even know if I could do it now, but like I remember distinctly like going to like looking up in the library on microfiche, just these things that don't even really exist anymore. It was actually quite difficult, or like there was so much effort had to go into finding these things, and now it's at our fingertips. So
It's all right here at your fingertips.
BAWLS, I know it has a funny name, BAWLS, but not really like balls, like testicles, but it's BAWLS.
I told a few folks that I was going to be talking about BAWLS. None of them pieced together that it was because of the studded glass bottle, that it basically had like balls sticking out of it. I assume that that's how they got the name. I don't know. Do you know?
So what happened is when I was working on the project, Europe was a bit further ahead, or at least when I was in Austria, they had all of these different energy drinks, and I still have a box of them somewhere. But they all took very much the same angle of like the Red Bull, these sort of very male, aggressive, so these over testosterone like things. And then one night I was out with a bunch of friends. We were at a bar in town. I hadn't really named it. And then one of my friends just burst out. He's like, well, just call it BAWLS.
BAWLS. That's how it's pronounced.
It's like, I was like, that's such a bad name. I guess I could change the spelling.
4 balls I had tonight. That doesn't sound right, but that's a lot of caffeine.
The thing that's funny about BAWLS as a brand is I think that it's both their best asset and the biggest detriment, right? Because there's no scenario that exists that my dad would walk into a store and say, do you have balls? Right? That doesn't exist.
It was the best and the worst thing was the bottle and the name, because the worst part about it was in the Midwest, we have a chain called Meijer, and I'll never forget that call in particular, because I'd go into the buyer and it was an older fella at the time, and he goes, you're never putting something with the name BAWLS on my shelf.
I'm just going to say that right. It's not testicles or balls. It's BAWLS with a W.
So we kind of grew up at the right time, right? Like that teenage era, that's it's so perfect. It's hilarious to think that you could walk into a store and say, do you have balls? And somebody say yes.
I just kept referring to it as that because that was just, and then it just sort of stuck. Like, then I was like, well, that's what it's going to be.
The name BAWLS stands for Brazilian American Wildlife Society.
And I think at one point we were saying it stood for the Brazilian American Wildlife Society. We had different iterations of how the name came to be, but that's the true story.
BAWLS is also a pretty complicated flavor. I'm typically pretty good at honing in on, okay, this tastes like this, but BAWLS was pretty singular in its flavor profile.
I've never heard somebody say they don't like it. It's a taste thing, so it's subjective, but I've never had somebody go, ugh, BAWLS, gross, If
kids are this amped about Prime, which is just bright colored, artificial tasting, man, they would love BAWLS. It's got caffeine in it. It's a soda.
It wasn't just about the highly caffeinated element of it. It actually tasted good. I think sometimes we forget that a soda, a beverage should taste good. BAWLS was really different. It was smooth, it was refreshing, it tasted like a good soda.
It's tough. It's a tough flavor to describe.
I can't really quite get the flavor out of it right away.
Fairly indescribable taste, you could say.
I'm still not 100% sure how to describe the flavor of BAWLS.
Some people called it a citrus and cream soda flavor. I'm not sure that's really true. Tycho from Penny Arcade described it once, I think, as a potable bubblegum drink, and maybe that's closer, but I don't know if it really captures it.
I don't like Monster. I don't like Red Bull. I understand that a lot of people don't. They only drink it because it has the high caffeine content. This stuff, BAWLS, has high caffeine content, and it's good.
BAWLS has a flavor all its own, and I think when you try it, you kind of know what I mean by that.
The Guarana taste is just so unique. I've always said it's the eyebrow taste. Whenever we've tasted with buyers and they've tasted it for the first time, their eyebrows go up.
I tell you what though, folks, that's bloody nice.
And it's amazing when they sit there and you watch the look on their face of, wow, I've never seen anything like that.
That is bloody lovely.
The biggest challenge was also, I think, our biggest gift at the time was that we were lumped into this energy drink category. And at the time, we didn't like to say that BAWLS was an energy drink because it was just a guarana soda.
It's not as harsh of a flavor and bite that some other energy drinks have. It's actually refreshing to me. Really, that's what got me hooked on the drink.
The ability to get an energy drink that doesn't have a chemical taste to it is kind of was my biggest draw. Something that tasted more like a cream soda,
It tastes better than coffee, which is where it's kind of logged in with as far as a caffeine level.
Because I love caffeine, but I cannot stand coffee. I've never actually been in a Starbucks before.
It's got the right amount of caffeine, so it's lodged right in the middle. It's more than your sodas, but less than those energy drinks.
It didn't have that vitamin-y taste. It was just a delicious soda that had a kick.
So this is one of the first bottles that I made that was a sample for people to try. I'm impressed that it's not mold or something inside. But this is actually what's in here is I took Sprite and added guarana extract to get something close to what I thought the flavor should be.
It's like a fruity Sprite in a way. It's like a better version of Sprite, I'd say. It's like Sprite if it tasted good.
So what happened was I found, again, through a trade publication, a company that did flavorings. So I went to Indianapolis and spent a day in the lab with them. I brought my sample of what I had for the flavor. We also then toyed around with the different extracts, but the different extracts, the caffeine level can vary. You couldn't necessarily guarantee a certain level of caffeine. So that was, at that point, we decided that we would add a certain level of caffeine and then the extract in there as well, which gave it the flavor and then added caffeine. So that was actually just done in a day. It was because, I couldn't, the back and forth, you're in a lab, with where they're tinkering around and they're like, try this, and they cool it down a little bit and they're and warm it up to see how the flavor changes. And so I just wanted to get it done. And I was like, I like this tastes good.
The taste is so unique and it just tastes great.
It was refreshing, like a refreshing soda that has a kick, a natural kick, but that's what it is. It's pretty simple, actually, when you think about it.
It's not that complicated. It didn't have to be. The thing is, it tasted good, and I was like, well, how much better can it be than this? So that was it.
It stands alone, in terms of its taste.
And a lot of people will be like, it's like that traditional, is glass better than the aluminum? For the diehards, the guys and gals and everybody in between that are just looking to try it for the first time, you go for the bottles because it's a cool piece of glass. It's got a really great look, feel, model. It looks awesome.
We definitely, I think, blew a lot of people out of the water in terms of packaging. Like that glass bottle is just iconic.
So the bottle is probably the coolest glass bottle ever made.
I mean, like, how many other energy drinks come in a glass bottle?
I mean, look at this bottle. Look at that.
When I think about that era, like Orbitz is always one that's really, really well remembered. And because it had the little globs of gelatin inside, I feel like this was like the outer embodiment of like an Orbitz.
The BAWLS bottle is iconic, right? I mean, if you mention the product to people, if they have a vague recollection of it, what you're going to hear is them talk about the bottle, right? The deep blue, the textured bumps. I mean, it was instantly recognizable. And I want to be clear, that BAWLS bottle was there from the beginning. That was a brainchild of Hobie, and it was super cool. It was instantly recognizable.
You know exactly what it is when you see it, even if it's the outline. You know, that is BAWLS. No one else has that.
In a world where there's so much manufacturing for so many different drink products in general, or just cookie cutter, the exact same can, the exact same bottle, whatever, having something that had little dimples or ridges on it was pretty unique and definitely made it a memorable experience.
And like the fact that it's like tinted blue feels like a mini vodka bottle or something, like an upscale wine cooler.
This is just an awesome bottle. It's a fancy bottle.
This looks like the stuff that you get in like first class on an airline when you ask for water. The bottle's weird.
And I think that just added to kind of the mystique and the identity to this like really cool company that wanted to support cool niche activities.
I mean, the best thing about it was honestly just showing up with a glass bottle in your hand. It was easy to sell because who doesn't want to try that, right? I mean, it's a glass bottle. It's, you know, high caffeine soda. It's like, I'm in.
But I remember one thing about taste testing all the different BAWLS flavors. I had 5 in a can and I had 1 in a bottle. And the 1 in a bottle was the best one.
Man, drinking it out of the bottle is a major improvement. I mean, it just feels so good.
Very interesting. I've never seen a drink in this kind of container.
The bottle is that perfect amount, and it makes you want a little bit more, and so that's why it makes you pick up the second bottle or purchase that second bottle.
At Hy-Vee in the Kansas City area, they would have these shelves, and they'd have the BAWLS bottle on each side, and then they'd have rows where you would have regular BAWLS, orange BAWLS, and you know, like that was perfect. And I remember they keep it by the deli, so if you were to like grab a sandwich at the Hy-Vee deli and you were looking at it, you're like, oh, okay, like I'm gonna try one of these.
Just look at the bottle. It's iconic. It's absolutely iconic. It's always been iconic.
It's so demonstrative, it's so unique, and it's so fun.
The original bottle design was more in line with something like this as far as the shape, but it was black frosted glass, and it did have the nubs all over it. But then what happened was black glass was very difficult to get. It was not common, and it was definitely going to be more problematic, and blue at the time was really the most exotic color.
Oh, it's blue! Oh!
Once I went to the glass company and found them, they were producing the bottles for Sky Vodka. Before we had enough volume to do our own runs of blue glass, they would let us know when Sky was running, and then we would tag on to the back end of their production.
And I do like the kind of like a, what do you call this, like bumps on the outside also.
It's very ergonomic because it's got like the studs, so like when it's cold or when the bottle sweats, it sounds silly, but like you don't lose grip of it.
So when we designed it, the bumps actually went all the way up to the top. But then when the engineers got a hold of it and they're testing it, they realized that the bottles couldn't have little bumps because the friction would cause in a bottling line, they would grab and probably break. These two bottles, if you notice, it flares, so the bumps can never touch. And so that's why the bottle shape is really the way it is, because it was designed to be a grip, but they're like the little ones can't touch or else they'll break on the bottling line.
Special non-slip bottle for when your hands start shaking.
One of my favorite things, which actually a lot of people may not or will not have seen, but this is the original cherry bottle. I think when we first got these in, I loved this bottle so much. I actually I had it next to my bed. So the first thing I saw when I woke up in the morning.
We tried so hard to get that dang red bottle. We were like, come on. Oh, but yeah.
There were two issues with it. It was a bit more expensive because this glass is actually not red. It's actually a red coating that they melt onto the glass sort of after. So it was a little bit more expensive, and I was getting pushed back on, because pennies matter and things like that. And I didn't like the cost. I think we were going to have an issue in California because there's something in it. It was some chemical that they didn't like. So they're like, well, we can't sell it. So that's why we ultimately launched it in the clear bottle with the red label.
Oh, it's clear!
Finally, I can see my balls.
So I've heard BAWLS started in 1997.
It's November 14th, 1996. And it was actually a nightclub on Miami Beach. It's no longer there, called Bash. And they bought the first 10 cases. At that point, I had rented a van and I was driving around and just selling it myself, which is not easy. Because sales is not something that necessarily comes easily to me. No, so it's a lot of work going around delivering cases weigh quite a bit, and I don't know if I'd really thought through what it would take to distribute a beverage, and it had not really done any real substantive research on beverage distribution and who would do that. So I was very lucky that I had gotten between 20 and 30 accounts, and the product was moving, and then I got a call from the Arizona iced tea distributor for the state of Florida, because they had noticed the product. The guy's name is Andy Stallone, and he's like a second cousin of Sylvester Stallone. Because actually the distribution company was owned by the Stallone family. But yeah, so he gave me a call and said that they'd seen it and that they would like to order 600 cases, which was a lot. And that changed everything then, because they had a team of salespeople. So then what I would do is then I would go and spend days with their salespeople, then putting in, and so then also their salespeople were selling it. We actually left Arizona when we got bigger. We went to Southeast Atlantic, which then got bought by Dr. Pepper 7-Up, which then put us into the and we went through all that. And then they gave us a sort of an ultimatum about controlling our distribution. I made the choice to leave them and actually go back to Arizona Iced Tea, because a lot of times those bigger distributors they're just order takers. They don't sell product. They just, how many cases of Dr. Pepper, how many cases of this, they don't. So it's a new product. And so going back to Arizona, in many ways they were a great distributor for us, because Arizona Iced Tea at the time, it was in glass. We were selling in many of the similar types of accounts, so it was a perfect matchup. So in many ways, I was very lucky to link up with them.
My name's Carl Gersh, and I was the founder and CEO of B-Scene Communications. And from around 2004 through 2009, B-Scene was BAWLS' primary marketing agency. So we handled everything from the design of the packaging and products, to the advertisements, to the websites, to the PR, and to whatever else other crazy things came up. And the guys with whom I started the company were all gamers. We'd all come from tech, from marketing, from different areas of the tech industry. But we had this issue, like our clients were pretty traditional, right? It was law firms, it was mortgage companies. And I had this a moment where I said to the team, I said, you know what, like we've got no one to blame but ourselves if we're not doing cool work with clients and brands that we love. Maybe I was hopped up on BAWLS, honestly, but I remember I had the bottle in my hand and I said, like, why don't we work with these guys? Like, this is awesome. We love this product, and we called BAWLS, and she said, all right, send some work samples down. Let me run it by the owner and see what he thinks. So we sent the work samples down. About a week later, I followed up, gave a call. They told me very politely, they said, look, we've got a bunch of agencies. We've got an ad agency, we got a web agency, we got a PR agency, but the stuff you sent is pretty cool, and we were impressed with how, like, you came up, like, you really want to work with us. So we're going to give you a shot. We're going to give you a project. And that first project was to develop a poster design for the LAN party stuff that they were doing. We had one that was fueled by BAWLS. It was actually like of a guy being fueled up by BAWLS. And again, you can see it right behind me here with the guy there. I'm very proud that is my shirt he's wearing, because we didn't have a huge budget for wardrobe or anything like that. The old man in the picture was actually my art designer at the time at the agency. So we shot that. We shot another poster called Love of the Game, but it took a lot of work to do that. We actually had to create this giant, like, translucent plastic holder and put all the bottles in, and very strategically, and then run lighting through it and light him from below. So he's kind of lit up by the balls and kind of got this like sort of like evil grin on his face. Hobie had flown up for the photo shoot, and we're talking, and he starts talking about this idea of building a website, specifically for LAN parties, where you can go register your LAN party, get sponsored by BAWLS. And also, if you're looking to find a LAN party locally, you can go online and find a LAN party. So, we spun up a brand called the BGCG, the BAWLS Guarana Gaming Community. We had a website, bgcg.net, and we started designing that website. So that was like kind of our second project. And honestly, from there, it really snowballed. So we started working on all kinds of projects. We started talking about all different types of things. And over the course of the next, several years, slowly but surely, we took over these different areas and worked with BAWLS. As they grew, we grew. So it was pretty cool.
I joined as the director of marketing. I was there between 06 and 09. They were just a place where you could learn a lot in a fast-paced environment and have delicious free caffeine all over the place all day long. So it just sounded awesome to me. I reported to Hobie and to Christina Stahlstrom, who was the COO at the time. It was never boring. Every day was something different. Every day was working on our sponsoring of all these gaming events, whether it be in person or, fulfilling LAN kits and working on our web presence, social media, PR. I also loved being a part of the development of Geek Beer, which is not called Geek Beer anymore. I think it's called BAWLS Root Beer now, but because it was the first ever high caffeine root beer. Barks has caffeine, but not like Geek Beer. Hobie would get different formulations of it. We would have little taste tests in the office. All of us would gather around and it was cool to be a part of, that's the one, that's the one to go with, and to see the bottle get designed and the name Geek Beer, to have it be in leet speak and everything with the threes, and instead of being like, to be a part of that was really cool and really fun. My hands were in a lot of different buckets, and it was really, really fun. And then we had a good time at the office too.
I was working for the local distributor, and I saw some other guys that were going to these brands that we were selling. They were going to work for these other brands. So I'm like, wow, you can do that? I started applying to a few different brands, and BAWLS was one in particular that I thought was so damn good. I might as well try to work there because it's so good. And I applied to it, and I got a call from, her name is Lisa. She calls me up and she goes, someone else from the distributor actually is got the job. And I said, well, damn. I said, because I really like this brand. She goes, however, you're Route 34 and you sell more balls than anybody else in that company. So how'd you like to interview for our regional position? And I'm like, sweet. I think next phone call, I was a full-time BAWLS employee and the Midwest regional manager.
Working with Hobie and the team, it was kind of like drinking the beverage, right? It was bracing. One Wednesday night, Hobie called me up and said, Carl, I just inked a deal. We're gonna do a billboard. So we need the art together. I'm like, all right, send me the specs. We'll get working on it. He's like, okay, I need it by Friday. And I was like, yeah, sure. Next Friday is not a problem. We get it on. He's like, no, this Friday. And I'm like, Hobie, it's Wednesday night. I said, what do you need by this Friday? He's like, the final art. They're gonna put it up this weekend. They're gonna print it on Saturday and put it up on Monday or whatever. And I was like, dude, you want a finished billboard done, like final art by Friday? He's like, yeah, you can do it. And that was typical Hobie. Yeah. And he's like, it's not a big, it's a billboard. I'm like, Hobie, it's a fucking billboard, man. Yeah, I know. But we did it, and that billboard art was done, and that was kind of how it was. It was fast and furious. We were all drinking the product, but we're doing the work just because of how quickly we moved.
And this is my office here. When I started this company, I was 23 years old.
Hobie, he's such a creative person, and he was so passionate about the product. It was his literal class project, and it was really unique to work with not just the guy in charge, but the person who invented it. And he loved when other people were excited about it, like when he would meet gamers, for example. So it was really, it was contagious, I guess, like his enthusiasm. And so everyone who worked with him, we all, just trying to find ways to spread the love of the product and to get more people to know about it. And he would let us do it in really fun and creative ways.
My wife's in that. She also worked with me and was with me from the beginning at BAWLS. So we did BAWLS together. She actually deserves, and she doesn't, I don't think very often she got it. I came up with things at BAWLS. She made them happen. When I'm like, well, it'd be cool if we had a mint and it had caffeine and it was fizzy. Then she would then go contact and make all those things. So she does deserve a lot of the credit, which she never really got. She was just always my wife, which I think sometimes frustrating for her.
The team was awesome. The people in the office were fantastic.
A few of us had Razor scooters that we'd ride around. It was like this huge warehouse, and there were, my gosh, tens of thousands of little bouncy balls that said BAWLS on it. We would have massive wars with those in the middle of just a quiet work day. And they were everywhere. You had to watch how you were walking because they were everywhere.
I remember if an order came in, all of a sudden a bunch of balls were flying all over the place and everybody's throwing stuff all over the place. And, it was cool. You walk in and you see just, there's bouncy balls all over the place, slushy machines. I think they had a slushy machine in there. It was definitely an atmosphere for sure. It was something different. Work hard, play hard, man. And we lived it for sure.
The fact that the people that were working the phone lines at BAWLS were cool enough that they're just like, yeah, I'll let you linger on hold and laugh about our hold message. Man, how cool is that?
Actually, it's funny. The kids just start calling, and they say, please put me on hold. Please put me on hold.
You'll hit the sky on a natural high, so go out and buy some balls.
We'll put them on hold, and they just listen to it for a while until they hang up.
That just shows a really high level representative of the brand in a place where you'd least expect it. I think the worst representation of any company is calling their 1-800.
You'll take a trip that's totally hip if only you'd sip some balls.
And if BAWLS was doing that and people are telling stories about, I called BAWLS, practically made a prank call, but it was appropriate because it's about BAWLS. And next thing you know, you're on hold and you're laughing with your buddies.
High energy from guarana berries, you'll swim up waterfalls.
You gotta be able, as a brand, to understand what your place is in the market. Maybe it is just a bunch of dudes calling up 1-800 numbers and like, you know.
It's diabolic, you'll wanna frolic, non-alcoholic balls. Go out and grab some balls.
Get you know, my balls are wet and my balls are cold. Hey, that's my blue balls. You know, it's just like everybody loves that.
He's got you.
Buy the balls.
She's got you.
Buy the balls.
They've got you.
Buy the balls.
Whole world's got you.
Buy the balls. Whoever thought I'd want blue balls?
I'll take two.
When I think back to moments in BAWLS that were very meaningful, I'll never forget, I got a call from CompUSA saying that they wanted to put a pallet in every store, and they have 220 stores.
Do you guys know what CompUSA is? It's a computer store. All they sold was computers and computer-related stuff. I know, right? Imagine that.
Thanks to CompUSA, I'm connected at home.
It was the most amazing phone call I got because it then took us national, gave access to many more people to the product.
I was a PC gamer at the time, and I was very much into building custom PCs or upgrading existing PCs. When I was there at CompUSA, I happened to notice a giant display for a product called BAWLS. Just cases, basically 12-pack cases, boxes. It was like white text on black background with a little bit of blue pop on it. And it said on it, never sleep again, BAWLS, BAWLS.
You know, in a setting like CompUSA, they're not selling any other beverages. So we really stand out. It's not like in a supermarket or, you know, in a 7-Eleven where there's all the, you know, trying to get anyone's attention to focus on your product.
A friend of mine, when we were hanging out at CompUSA one weekend, said, this is what we're going to do. I am going to give you one of these and you're going to try it because I want to know what your opinion of it is. And I remember being hesitant to try because I had heard about high caffeinated beverages at the time. Of course, there were other beverages like Jolt Cola, for example. And then, well, I tried it. And it was without a doubt the best beverage I ever tasted in my life.
You know, having a pallet of cases of BAWLS sitting at checkout at CompUSA was really something quite fantastic.
For a place where you would usually go to either buy software, PC parts, or some other type of gaming accessories, monitors, TVs, that sort of thing, seeing a store single out a specific beverage that they wanted to sell was actually quite interesting. That was my first experience seeing BAWLS. That was my first experience with it.
Thanks, CompUSA.
Thanks, CompUSA.
I said I was busy, do you mind?
Eventually, when they teamed up with Interplay to cross-promote the game Run Like Hell, they actually ended up with a really cool-looking 12-pack box that was probably, as far as I'm concerned, their coolest-looking, at least visually coolest-looking case ever. So there was a lot to be attracted to as a gamer.
In a way, it was really ahead of its time because Run Like Hell wasn't just product insertion, it was what we call in marketing product integration. And I'll say this, like if you watch TV or movies today, you know, brands are not just satisfied to see their brand appear on the screen. They want their brand to be like used by the people. But Run Like Hell did this great integration with it. It was a cool game and it was pretty awesome to see BAWLS integrated that way.
Too bad you picked the wrong side.
The last 2 seasons of Reno 911, they invited me to come out and be an extra, which was really a lot of fun. So I think I'm in 6 episodes because they were shooting the office scenes all on the same day for all the different episodes, and just watching them work and being a part of that was pretty cool. And there are other ones because we're in The Hangover too. Like there's a pyramid of BAWLS cans. You know, there are things like that are pretty cool, and I feel very lucky and grateful that I got the opportunity to experience those things. The Hangover one is really incredible because we didn't pay for that. And Reno 911, we did give them product because they actually did drink it, the cast drank it, but they put it in the opening credits. I mean, so it was kind of wild to have all that. There were many like moments that were great. Like I do remember we had an article come out and like of all things like teen people, and like overnight we were shipping 40 to 50 cases a day out of our office, which was not set up for this, and you had to pack it in like packing peanuts, and the UPS guy hated us because we were trying to ship from our office because we just didn't know, like, you know, but it was very exciting, and like, you know, because people were calling because you couldn't, we had a website but you couldn't order through it like that, so you know the website didn't really matter, but it was a very exciting time to sort of have all of that. And it was good to see people enjoying, you know, the product. You know, you also, again, since you didn't have the internet, you didn't necessarily get the validation because, you know, I didn't necessarily see the people drinking. I'd see the numbers. You know, now with Instagram or other things, I mean, people are interacting with products, so you have a much better visual. I mean, every once in a while when I would see someone I didn't know, like walking down the street drinking BAWLS, but very rarely did I get to see it. I would just see sales numbers at the end of the month. You know, it was not quite as visual for me or as obvious.
Welcome to a 2,000 person LAN party. Now everyone has brought their own computers, so you're gonna see a lot of cool mods here. You're also gonna see a lot of caffeine because some of these people have been here for 4 days straight. How do gamers game for 96 hours straight? BAWLS. The secret is lots and lots of balls.
We were still trying to find our niche, and then luckily the gamers came along, and really they came to us. What happened was very early on, some gamers had gotten a hold of the product, and they started requesting it for these LAN parties, and I have to admit, I didn't know what a LAN party was.
Because I got a call from a guy who was running a LAN party in Orlando and said that he wanted to order 10 cases for this LAN party. I didn't understand what was occurring. So I actually decided, I told him that I would deliver them myself rather than shipping them because I was curious to see what this was, and because he had explained to me. So I drove up. His wife left for the weekend, and then he had taken his entire house and just had tables set up and people all over his house. I'd never seen anything like it. I saw why our product would be popular and why it would be useful, and it was definitely an eye-opener. And then it just, at that point, I recognized it as definitely a potential market because, you know, initially I had, you know, the business plan and the way that I had come in contact with these drinks was, you know, in a nightclub setting. And while we did sell in nightclubs in Miami for a while, it was outside of the norm. And, you know, particularly also in a bar nightclub setting, you are actually also then competing against the liquor companies too. Like it's a whole different. So I think at that point I also realized I needed to find where our niche was because was not going to be it.
Today, Buford is very familiar with video gaming LAN or local area network parties, where gamers link their PCs together and play.
When they came to us and said that they were interested in the product, it seemed like a good fit, and I was very intrigued that this group was so interested in our product. So we really, you know, took advantage of that and really got involved and started sponsoring LAN parties, and today we're the largest sponsor of LAN parties in the US.
I feel very lucky that the whole gaming community sort of came along and embraced it the way that they did, and so that's when we started. After that, we started, you know, sponsoring LAN parties, and then word sort of spread that we would sponsor them with product, and that's sort of how it grew.
So back then, not so much online. Everyone was on dial-up, you know, through the late 90s into the early 2000s. So LAN parties were kind of where it was at. I remember going to the first LAN party and seeing these like bright cobalt blue bottles. I mean, they're scattered everywhere. You know, everyone had that BAWLS there. It was like an artifact. So I think, you know, certainly at that first LAN party in Southern New Jersey, it was before I even started the agency, was when I came across BAWLS.
You know, fast internet's in you know, right next to you. For us, like when I was growing up, 14K modems, and you could barely play you know, Diablo 4 or Diablo 2 on dial-up. But like I said, so LAN parties were the quintessential way of playing games together, but also sharing beverages, sharing different types of snacks, and that kind of whole culture of really kind of exploded in the LAN scene.
So it should come no shock to anybody. The first time I encountered BAWLS the drink was at a LAN party. Got to go all night, so you have that BAWLS and you get it going. When you think of LAN parties, you think of BAWLS, you think of energy drinks, and that's the brand that comes to mind.
I believe at the time we were the country's largest sponsor of video gaming because we sponsored so many LANs. We didn't care how small it was. If you wanted us there, we were there. And so we would always find a way to just support the gaming community as much as possible.
BAWLS takes me back to that time when gaming was just beginning to break in the mainstream, right? The community was growing, but it still felt like a club, right? And if you were into gaming, we kind of had our rituals, right? We had the LAN parties. We had our own slang, like frag, stuff like that, right?
In 2005, we were interested in playing LAN for Unreal Tournament. I believe it was Unreal Tournament 2004. And one of my local bars in the area was having a LAN party that day. And they got sponsored by BAWLS. I distinctly remember seeing they had a huge banner up, hanging up, and I remember everybody that attended, the second they attended, they were passed a BAWLS. And they were told you can drink it now, you can drink it later, everybody gets a freebie. And that to me was pretty cool.
Being from the middle of nowhere in East Texas, there was, no way for me to get it as a kid. But then kind of out of the blue randomly, there was a Exxon gas station in my hometown that carried BAWLS. So obviously like me and my friends found out about it. We would buy individual BAWLS from this gas station and we'd have house LAN parties. At the time I was like a, caffeine addict playing games late at night. And then just the fact that he was associated with Counter-Strike. I was obsessed with Counter-Strike. Anything that had to do with, first-person shooters or gaming, I was all over it.
When I started going to college back in 2003 in Western Michigan, we were running LAN parties, and it was like almost every other weekend there was a LAN party that was happening. And of course, BAWLS was sponsoring the glass bottles. They were doing giveaways. They were doing free sponsorship for LAN parties all around the United States. So that kind of got me the first taste. I was like, wow, this is a really interesting energy beverage.
BAWLS themselves has kind of marketed themselves as a LAN party drink. They have always sponsored LAN parties, whether you're a 2-person LAN party or a 4,000 LAN party. They will sponsor you and give you BAWLS at some sort of a discount so you can share the wealth with your friends and game all night long.
You wanted to stay up because either you were running a one-day event or you were going to a 2-day event. So, when 1 a.m., 2 a.m. kicked in, it's like you pop a bottle and you drink your BAWLS, and it was like, all right, now I'm ready to play some more UT, or I'm ready to play some more Quake, or ready to play some more Counter-Strike.
So I got into Counter-Strike somewhere around 2000 or 2001. Back then, Cyber Athlete Professional League, or CAL, or CPL, was like the thing that everyone always talked about.
We're at the CPL. A Fatality just won this nice car over there. We got BAWLS giveaway going on here. It's great.
That's one of the big reasons why I always continue to come, is because I have a lot of friends I've made here, and some of them, this is the only place I see them.
Back then, they sponsored, I think, a lot of the tournaments. There was involvement in esports at the time. I don't know if the word even esport existed back then, but or they didn't call it that. But yeah, it seemed like Counter-Strike in particular had a huge, BAWLS endorsement at one point.
It was during a very exciting part of our growth. I'll always remember the CPL events. At their events, we sponsored a computer mod competition. And this is going to sound odd. It was a child's coffin, and it had a button on the front. And when you push one button, the top part of the coffin went up and the screen was there. You push the second button, the keyboard came out, and I just thought it was the coolest thing.
People take the mod scene a bit far, though.
No, this is a 4.5 foot long child's casket.
That's kind of creepy.
I remember the cleaning staff would come into our offices at night, and she would not go into my office because of the coffin.
And he seems just a little too fond of the whole idea.
And of course, it's a child's casket, child's casket, child's casket.
Okay, we get it.
So, Penny Arcade was just being exploded. They were not the juggernaut behemoth media company they had turned into, right? They had a loyal fan base. So they announced, hey, we're going to do this PAX event. And, we reached out and said, hey, we're BC Communications. We work with BAWLS and Jinx. We're interested in being a sponsor of the first PAX. So we were in. So I think it was 2004. And that was cool because it was being part of something new, right? I always look back and it's amazing to see how some of the things started, grew into such huge things, right? From some, kind of humble beginnings. But, Penny Arcade, again, great media company, great webcomic originally, right? And then the PAX event, got to participate in that. And it was a ton of fun. It was just great to go out there and you're at this gathering of all your people, right? All these people that are into gaming, and they had both board gaming and, tabletop stuff as well as video games. And it was very counterculture, right? So you had sponsors, but the sponsors were companies like BAWLS. It had not been sort of, taken over by the more massive sponsors. But E3 in those early 2000s, it was quite the spectacle. It was huge. It was truly the epicenter of everything gaming. Companies spent millions of dollars and so on and so forth. And BAWLS was going to be there in 2004. Right up until we found out we could not crack open a bottle of BAWLS anywhere on the grounds of the LA Convention Center because Pepsi had exclusive rights. And we said, yeah, but we're not trying to sell anything. We're just going to give out some samples, let people try it. And it was like a hard no. And we were like, we're crushed. We're like, oh man. Hobie says, yep, we're gonna pivot. And he starts looking we start making calls and pulled out of our sponsorship and took all the money we were gonna spend on sponsoring BAWLS. And we rented the vacant lot that happened to be right across the street from the convention center. So we ran out the vacant lot and we turned it into a full-blown BAWLS party. Tractor trailer there, full of balls, music, energy. We got these giant blow-up bottles, and everyone that walks by gets a free bottle of BAWLS. And you know where they walk? They walk right into the convention center. And at one point, I wasn't there to witness it, but at one point, apparently some of the E3 folks came out and they were like, hey, you guys, you gotta stop doing this. And we're like, doing what? We rented the space, we had the permits, we can give away some product samples. You guys gotta just go stand in front of the thing and tell people they can't bring the product in. That's up to you, it's not us. We weren't inside, we weren't selling anything, we were abiding by the rules. Truly, in a weird way, it really captured what made BAWLS so fun to work with and what the brand was all about. It was like, oh, we can't do that, fine, we'll do something else. And it turned out to be, huge. In, I wanna say 2005, Hobie came in and said, hey, we're sponsoring a gaming development competition. He said, we're teaming up with the Slam Dance Film Festival. Now, if you know the movie scene, everyone's heard of Sundance. Sundance is held in Utah in January. Concurrent to Sundance and also in Park City, Utah is the Slam Dance Film Festival. Sundance has become pretty commercial, but Slam Dance was there and it was the punk rockers of the film scene. And Hobie had talked to them and said, you know what, film is a great medium, but there's also this other medium that's up and coming, this gaming medium. Gaming was starting to see these up and coming independent game developers. Back then, that was pretty revolutionary. That was a big deal. And BAWLS recognized that. They said, we want to do this indie game competition. So we came up with something that was called the Big C. It was all about recognizing independent game developers, many of whom went on to, pretty illustrious careers, showed up and brought their games. And the panel of judges, we had some folks from Activision, we had some folks from NCSoft. We also had the guys from Penny Arcade there. We had the guys from Rooster Teeth, the red versus blue guys were there. But I'll say this, it wasn't just about the coolness of rubbing shoulders or rubbing elbows with, people that went on to shape gaming. It was also about how BAWLS really truly understood and cared about moving gaming to the next level. It wasn't just about, oh, gamers are our demographic, let's sell them stuff. It was about how do we take this medium, how do we take gaming and as a brand contribute to it and help elevate it.
Their ability to stay special to each individual person that they're selling to, that really holds to me. They have heart, they have soul. They're a company that I can feel like I get behind and they support, the little guy.
So I run a local LAN party out of the Dallas area, LAN all night. We hold an event that has about 300 to 400 people to it. We've had 10 events. And one thing we like to have at every single event is sell a case of BAWLS. So one interesting story we have from one of our events was, for whatever reason, the pallet arrived at our hotel. The hotel didn't realize it was for our event, so they refused the pallet. So now we have no pallet of BAWLS.
It's your balls, they're gone.
We're a little panicked because people are wanting their BAWLS. So I get a phone call on my cell phone from the CEO of BAWLS telling me that he will personally track this truck down.
I will do everything in my power to get that information for you.
So I've never seen this level of customer service before in my entire life. And they tracked this thing down and we got it back to the hotel and everybody's bellies were full of BAWLS and the gaming continued. It was a fantastic experience.
They're always looking out for that little guy. So I've always kind of held them at a very special mark, whether it was a 20-person LAN to a 300-person LAN to the QuakeCon size of, thousands of people. They're always there to sponsor everybody along the line, and they're always ready to make sure everybody's fueled up and they're having a great time and they're full of energy. And to me, like I said, that makes them super special in my book.
People reach out to us, ask for sponsorships, and whether it's big or small, we try to support as many LAN events as we can. LAN Fest is one of the largest organizations that we try to support. And we're doing, I want to say 24 or 26 events with LAN Fest across the country this year. I can think of probably 20 different LAN events that spawns off of QuakeCon, maybe more. Those are people that we've met at QuakeCon. They love the drink, and then they've continued that on to their own personal events.
Do you think we need a sponsor?
No, we don't need a sponsor, but hey, would you like some BAWLS?
No, not right now, but that BAWLS reminds me of something.
Could it be QuakeCon?
Yeah.
I first remember seeing BAWLS at QuakeCon. I just remember a huge inflated BAWLS can thing in the BYOC, and they were handing them out, and that was back in the days when they were doing them in bottles. And then I think the most notable thing about that first time is remembering seeing somebody's car just being stickered to death with BAWLS stickers that year. And I think it was in El Camino.
Every year, thousands of Quake fanatics from all over the world descend on QuakeCon. Some come hoping to win fame and fortune. Some come to show off their gaming rigs. And some come just to frag.
The memories that everyone has of the brand and it's just so much fun to be there. It's hands down my favorite event. I mean, the passion of the people. I mean, I spend more time outside the booth just saying hi to old friends. I mean, it's so neat to see that.
I've been attending QuakeCon since 2005. Me and a bunch of college friends got together. 6 of us piled into his mom's minivan, and we drove from Michigan all the way down to Dallas in one shot. And that was kind of the exciting thing because BAWLS was there. They had their big blow-up inflatable BAWLS bottles, and they were giving away product, and you could buy. And it was really cool because it was kind of our way of kind of first getting introduced to the employees.
I loved QuakeCon. I loved going to my first ever QuakeCon, and it was just like we had been to many gaming events, but QuakeCon was huge, and it was just so cool to see that whole community come alive, and it was such a huge event.
The first time I think we did a QuakeCon, I remember we sent in a lot. I can't remember, but what I do remember is that I wasn't prepared. I think I left on the Sunday, so I couldn't go to the bank, and of course all the transactions were in cash. And I believe I flew home with like $18,000 in my backpack because cases were $20 each, and we did bring because we had a distributor there. And by the time we were done and I had counted up everything, and I was like, I remember like boarding the plane because I mean I couldn't, and I was like, I can't believe I have $18,000 in a backpack. This is insane. But I couldn't go to the bank. You know, it's one thing to see like a number on like a balance sheet or like on a P&L statement, but like when you actually see like stacks of cash, it's really quite something.
At QuakeCon, where I encounter BAWLS every year, you know, I like to see the chugging competition. I like to see the A2M group doing their shirtless Quake thing, and, you know, they're big proponents of BAWLS as well. I connect this drink with the environment that I enjoy every year.
When I think of BAWLS, I often think of QuakeCon celebrity Booth to the Max's BAWLS hat that he wears every year. Baseball cap with like 2 cans of BAWLS and hoses coming down, kind of like a beer cap, just because he's endowed it with like LED lights and things over the years just to make it stand out so much. I consider Boov to be a good friend and a great representative of QuakeCon. He's always been a strong promoter of BAWLS and the BAWLS brand. Back
when I first went to QuakeCon in 2005, getting a chance to meet the company, getting a chance to meet the sales reps there, that was like one of the coolest parts of attending QuakeCon 2005 for me. And then the next year I was like, okay, I'm excited for them to come again. I'm excited to see everybody again and to shake hands and, you know, share bottles with everybody. And that was the year that they didn't come. That was the year that the helmet came alive. So the idea was, I want to play homage to them. I want to, you know, show my support as a fan. I want to be that, you know, make something really cool. And it just started out as just the typical, you know, beer drinking helmet. It was all switched over to BAWLS. So we did custom, you know, vinyl. My brother did a bunch of vinyl work. So we did custom, you know, artwork for it. We did, you know, we took all the stickers that we got from all their, you know, kind of sponsorships and stuck it all on the helmet. And then we had actual live cans with the drink that I could walk around QuakeCon and drink. And it was like, that's such a cool idea. It drove so much, you know, kind of hype around it. But at later dates, then the helmet kind of evolved. It was like, I'm tired of having, you know, beverage spilled on my shoulders or dripping down my, you know. So then I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do cans anymore. I'm not gonna do bottles. QuakeCon was always a strict no glass in the BYOC. So, you know, there was one year that I got kind of a waiver that I could have the bottles in the helmet. And that's when I started to do the LED lights. And the bottles were really fun. But glass in the BYOC and a safety hazard really made me switch, okay, we got to do the cans. And the cans allowed more power, so then I don't have to switch out batteries every couple hours. I can kind of run a lot longer throughout the day. So yeah, and the retro cans, like those are the original first 16-ounce cans that they came about. And I remember John would catch me, he's like, when are you going to update that design? That's kind of an old dated design. And I'm like, I don't know. I like the classics.
When it came to doing the cans, though, it did create a weird challenge, right? Because how do you replicate some of that design element in the cans itself? And we wanted to be, you know, feel like an extension of the bottle, but you can't. It's not like you can extrude aluminum cans and create bumps. So we kind of went with a flat bump design. But here's the thing: in the original version, I don't know if they continued it for long, but in the original version, those bumps were cold activated. There was a special ink on those, so when you put your balls can in the fridge, these bumps would sort of change color.
When we originally did the can, we had the color changing ink, so you could tell if it was cold, and we also did a textured ink, so you could actually feel the.
When the cans got cold, it had kind of a little rough texture that your hands wouldn't slip.
I believe we debuted it because of our sponsorship of Paintball. We started sponsoring the pro paintball event, and we would just hand out these cans, and you couldn't have glass bottles at these events.
I dragged this one out of storage, out of cold storage there. I mean, it's empty, obviously, but yeah, you can get a feel for kind of how that worked. So it was pretty cool. Not as iconic as the bottle, but kind of clever and distinctive, and I think it was very true to the brand.
He found a way to make those cans, to make that packaging innovative, and it was really cool.
But yeah, when the first time you would pick it up out of the cooler, like the grips were like right on your hand. So that was like a really kind of a cool, innovative way that, BAWLS is, was trying to like corner the market and something like that. It's kind of like the coolers with the ice mountains, and if it's blue, then it's cold enough to drink.
Coors was using that technology, and I think at that time we were the only other one who was using it when we first came out with the can. It was pretty cool to do that.
I like those types of, not that they're gimmicky, but I like that that's a new way of looking at, the container itself. The beverage inside is what everybody wants, but you make the can or the bottle eye-appeasing, makes you want to grab it, makes you want to look at it and go, oh, I want to try this. But, their new can design, I got nothing to say bad about it. I love the can style, but it's got the branding for the original bottle. But yeah, that's the idea. Was I wanted to find a way to kind of give back to them, because it's like, sure, you can wear a t-shirt, but it's really cool when you were walking around the BYOC, you have the lights on and you walk around, you can kind of spot me. And every year I've been going, this will be my 20th year, and without a doubt every year I get somebody that's like, oh, that's so cool, and I've had people that are like, well, would you sell it, would you ever give it away? And it's like, it's one of those things I challenge somebody to come to the table and do the same thing, show your support in that aspect.
I made this. I took a lot of the original decals and stuff like that, and I bought a fridge, and I basically decorated it as best as I could to try to make it look like an official BAWLS fridge, like the kind of fridge that you find in like a supermarket or like a convenience store or something like that. I think I did a pretty decent job.
My business partner, college buddy, college roommate, bought the brand in 2010. And he told me what he was doing, and I was visiting him in South Carolina, and I got to taste BAWLS for the first time and thought it was the best tasting beverage I'd ever had. Then as we got into 2011, 2012, he asked me to come and join him. I had 32 years in retail, and as he was building this beverage business, he wanted somebody with a little more marketing and retail experience. Asked me if I would come join him in this new adventure. So I did, and my very first exposure was going to QuakeCon in 2012. It was held at the Hotel Anatole in downtown Dallas, and I walked in and I was blown away. My son played video games, but I had no idea his scope and the size and the interest in video games in general, let alone the fact that everyone in the building was drinking BAWLS. And I had a great 2-3 days. I think I was there for 3 days. So that was really my first true exposure to BAWLS, was at QuakeCon at that point.
I remember the first time I saw BAWLS was probably 2002 at a LAN party, and drinking it there. I used to actually drive to like Ohio because it wasn't sold in Michigan. So I would do like a 4-hour drive and buy cases, come back up. I used to sell it in my trunk of my high school car at the high school. And then the first year I did BAWLS Chugging was my first year at QuakeCon 2007.
One of the things we do is BAWLS Chugging. Sounds totally gross, I realize. Chug an energy drink as fast as you can.
When QuakeCon would do the BAWLS Chugging, that was always really fun and exciting. Just to something to kind of cheer your friends on, because of course we're all 18, 20-year-olds, so we've got a little bit of the college, fraternity stuff. Like, oh yeah, chug. Chug.
I mean, just the whole concept of it. I mean, really, where these people are up there drinking a 16-ounce can of BAWLS in 11 seconds. I was like, are you kidding me? Really?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's come to this. 3 men chugging on BAWLS.
I think I was just standing back there with my jaw down, like, wow, what am I doing?
How the hell?
What the hell is wrong with you?
How do you do that?
I've never competed, but as part of some of my responsibilities over the years for the photography and video teams, I've made sure that those events get covered, and just watching and witnessing those, some of the epic wins and catastrophic failures at the same time have been amusing.
And it's really fun because there's been kind of conversations between BAWLS and those guys as chuggers to be like, why? What's the thing that keeps you wanting to chug the drink so much?
I don't know. It was something to do. It feels like that it's a staple of QuakeCon. It's something that you have to try just every once in a while and see how it goes for you. I never thought that I was going to be good enough to really compete and make finals. But to me, it's actually the camaraderie that I've made, especially with people like Kenko and some of the other BAWLS chugging guys, year after year.
First year going, I think I saw Ken and all them doing it, and I was like, I could probably do that. Like, I'm not going to spew. Like, that's your only concern, honestly, spewing on stage. Like me watching them, and I'm like, I could probably hold my own. Figure out what they're doing.
I think I just signed up. I was newly 21, and I was, obviously had only been drinking beer since I turned 21. But I was definitely a fast beer chugger, so I was like, oh, I could probably drink, BAWLS pretty fast. That's kind of how I got into it. It was just like, oh, this is something dumb that I could do that doesn't fully embarrass myself.
Kenny's really built it up over the years as that kind of wrestling. That's his kind of persona. He's a big wrestling fan.
I'm kind of like the John Cena of BAWLS chugging. Got a few championships under my belt. I'd say more like maybe Ric Flair, minus all the women.
So he likes to build it up. He likes to create the showmanship of BAWLS chugging.
Kinko 12 is our winner with 9.26 seconds.
So the best part for me is when you get up there and you set a sub 10-second record time, and then you get off stage and everyone else is like, I could do that. So I'm like, okay, cool. Got a case of BAWLS over at my desk. Come on, let's go chug one real quick. Invite them over to come try and chug a can of BAWLS, and they can get halfway through the can in about 12 seconds. These aren't even ice cold, and the ones they give you up on stage are ice cold, which makes it so much harder.
Kenko and those guys, they know all the minutia of drinking different types of, whether it's bottle, can, in shot glasses, in chugging it. It's like they've got a whole science built around it. What do they need to do to prep? Are they on an empty stomach? Are they getting, what do they need to do to mentally prepare themselves?
Don't think about it. Just do it. That's my secret.
I usually don't eat. Depending on when the challenge is, I probably won't eat for 4 to 5 hours beforehand. Maybe only drink water, like I won't drink soda or anything that's filling. Nothing worse than going on a full stomach and then adding, because it doesn't really digest. It sits right at the top of your stomach. And if you have so much food in there and carbonation, it's going to come right back out.
Because it's all speed, right? Everything shaves off time.
The amount of time is from tearing open the can and the amount of time to flipping it back over to show that you're done. That's where all the time is in BAWLS chugging.
And the tabs don't always flip right either, like the actual seal itself. One of the years I actually won, I think second round, I flipped it open, and when I did, the tab didn't fully depress back into the can. I actually put it to my mouth, and when I was drinking, I pushed the tab back with my tongue so I could make it flow faster. Not really smart, probably, pushing your tongue onto something sharp and metal, but yeah.
Now it's a little blood between friends.
That would have freaked him out, though, right? You just start bleeding just profusely out of your mouth.
Again, didn't think that, I was going to be able to hang with the likes of some of the other chuggers year after year up there, Being able to get into the finals, was a big achievement for me to start off with. And, like I said, it's only up from here.
I know I can compete against these guys, but there is one person out there that came one year that would probably wipe the floor with us. And it's this dude named Joe Mofo. And this dude crushed the can so fast.
Hey, come on! Check the can! Holy shit!
Even Spicy and Linz, who are the ones that were running the tournament, were shocked at how fast it was, and the thing was gone.
Our first place today is Joe Mofo.
He didn't show up to finals either, so I got lucky.
Like I said, that type of competition really kind of drove Ken to be innovative. To how there's a lot of a lot of mythos behind, his chugging style versus Nipstar versus the other guys that have chugged.
For me, my secret is using my thumb to feel put it in a proper space so I know how much is left in the can. Then I know I don't have to chug the rest. I can just get it in my mouth and then swallow it as I turn over. So that's basically my secret, is knowing when to basically fill the mouth without having to keep sucking in all the carbonation and film and fizz to get it over. But then again, I haven't won in 8 years. So maybe that's not the right thing to do.
Can bring up why you haven't won, right? You said you can't win at the Gaylord, you can only win at the Anatole.
That sounds like something I would say. No, that's probably true. I don't think I've ever won at the Gaylord.
I don't know. Well, my first finals when we were at the Anatole, I think our finals, they made us chug out of sippy cups, which is horrible to see, like grown men. Like Kamikaze was on stage and we're just like sitting there, you're just like holding it, trying to like pull liquid out of a sippy cup that's not intended to have a lot of flow.
My favorite story is probably the dumbest one, which is going back to the cherry BAWLS chug of 2011. I want to say we had to do 2 full cans of cherry BAWLS. And I remember chasing Marty Stratton on the stage while pretending to throw it back up. And he has like a mic saying like, get the hell away from me. I always have like a nice little spot in like for 789. We got to really know all the people at BAWLS itself. We got to know all the sales reps and stuff. Like it was a fun, great time to meet all those people. I think 16's got to probably be my favorite, simply for the quote unquote redemption arc. You were cheating and that's why you never came back. And I brought back the belt and I wouldn't relinquish it until I lost that year. And 3 or 4 people at one point all reached out to me and were just like, hey, we're hearing this rumor that you're not allowed at QuakeCon anymore because you got caught cheating at BAWLS Chugging. And I said, what do you mean cheating at BAWLS Chugging? I was like mad. And then I'm like, wow, somebody jealous enough of me to start it. It was probably Nipstar, let's be honest.
I think the rumor was you were using a can popper ring or something, right?
Yeah, I had a ring on and I was somehow shotgunning the beer by like adding airflow at the bottom of the can.
Even though I've been going to QuakeCon for 10 years, I've only competed for the past 3 years. And I've made finals every single year I've competed. So, I mean, BAWLS has always been a sponsor of QuakeCon. Having them have so much support for it, I mean, you got to at least try it.
They really put on a show. Like they really take it to heart what they're doing and put on a show for the crowd.
If you steal it, you got to lick the balls.
That is the most balls I've seen in my entire life. And they have snowballs. Holy fucking crap.
Early on in QuakeCon's history, like it was probably like 2007, 2008, they came with margarita machines. So they had the balls in a box. It was basically the flavoring. And then they would mix it in, and then they would make a slushy mix.
I remember them having either 1 or 2 machines, right, that were like, churning it. And it even had like SnoBAWLS, like, they had its own logo, and it was like on the front of the machine. And they were it was like little small cups.
So it was kind of like they were testing the idea of like the 7-Eleven, slushy or squishy. And the idea was, oh, well, you could go to QuakeCon, and that's where you got SnoBAWLS.
We were in 7-Eleven, and the buyer, who I had a very good relationship with, said, he's like, this would be sort of a fun Slurpee flavor. And so we did SnoBAWLS.
Oh, it should come back. SnoBAWLS was great. I remember when we had it at 7-Eleven, like it was always an event fixture, but when it was at 7-Eleven, oh my God.
You go to 7-Eleven and you pick up a frozen Coke or the different flavors, but then it's like with BAWLS, it was even better. It just elevated the product even more.
It was a Slurpee with benefits, a Slurpee with a little extra. It was so fun and it was delicious. That's the one I used to love at the office. The SnoBAWLS machine was always running. That was a fun one for us.
Oddly enough, in Michigan, we were the #1 selling Slurpee flavor, which didn't necessarily make sense because I'm like, isn't it cold enough there already?
If that was a shelved product, I was going to fight somebody to get a bottle or a container of that because that would be amazing.
Unfortunately, after about 2 years, we got pushed out because, Slurpee has a limited number of flavors. And there wasn't much competition because basically it was Coke and Pepsi and maybe a little bit of Dr. Pepper controlled those, and they weren't so eager to necessarily give them up. And I don't think they saw us coming.
We've talked to them before about, what would it take to have you guys bring it back? And they're like, it's a lot of logistics and they don't make the mix anymore. So it's a very difficult process for them to make that. But when they did make it, Oh, it was like the coolest thing.
So I had to have been originally introduced to BAWLS back in probably 2007 at the NPPL Huntington Beach event, which was like the coolest paintball event in the history of the sport of paintball. Hundreds of vendors, thousands of people, a lot of people who never heard of paintball before. The coolest thing, they had pods. They're designed to hold paintballs, but they came filled with a BAWLS slushie.
I remember at paintball events, we would rent a slushy machine and serve snowballs, but we would sell it so you would drink it in. It looks like a giant test tube where you would fill with the paintballs, whatever, and we would fill that with the drink. And it was so fun.
It was just a perfect combination on a hot summer day in the middle of California.
If they were to come out and say, we've partnered with 7-Eleven, or we found a way to market and get our brand into those locations, and we're bringing in snowballs, hands down, slam dunk.
I'll give you money. I'll pay you.
If they could bring back SnoBAWLS just to QuakeCon, me and my crew would be very happy.
If they ever make snowballs, you gotta try it. Super good.
I do remember back when I was a volunteer, sometimes people would make these slushies with balls and alcohol, and it was amazing.
Really early on, they came out with like different like ways to mix their drinks, and something that's like usually kind of kept quiet is the captain's balls drink at QuakeCon. So you got to be quiet about it. You can't let anybody know, but usually there's people there that know they'll mix the Captain Morgan and balls, and it becomes that perfect, adult beverage.
The soda success paved the way for a convenient candy version in 2004.
They did mints. What it wasn't really a mint. It was more like a candy that tasted kind of like their basic original flavor. I just kind of remember like, oh, that's new and different.
I mean, the mints were a lot of fun. I always like that. I mean, and we put those in every CompUSA.
I wish BAWLS would bring back the BAWLS Buzz. BAWLS Buzz were these little caffeinated, carbonated, they fizzed, and they were full of caffeine, and they were delicious.
Feel the power of BAWLS mints, because regular candy is for babies.
Oh, yeah, like the little mints. Totally forgot. Oh, my God, yeah. If you've got some stored away, those are like vintage now.
BAWLS Buzz were fun. Oh, those were fun. I remember those. We did an episode of Unwrapped. It was a Food Network show about the BAWLS mints, about BAWLS Buzz. Those were fun. They would fizz in your mouth.
Product fizzing was probably the most important aspect of the product for us, because we were trying to replicate the experience of a carbonated beverage.
Again, it was just a great idea. It was a great brand extension that BAWLS came up with, right? We're going to do these things. We went back and forth. We called them Buzz because initially, and there are some tins that say mints, but they were not minty. There's no mint flavor to them.
The fizzy candy starts as a 600-pound mixture of ingredients, including sugar, citric acid, guarana, and baking soda for the fizz.
They did taste like the soda. So you popped a few in and they'd kind of fizz up in your mouth. And it was like a pocket-sized little dose of gamer fuel.
The powder is taken to a tablet press where the candy is formed.
Press the BAWLS Buzz candy. Actually requires about 4 tons of pressure.
After the soda, I mean, I had those in my car. I had them in my backpack, out of my pocket. It was a lot of fun.
The amount of powder that's filled into the die is twice as much as the size of the tablet that finally comes out of the machine.
So if anything, if BAWLS is looking to do anything, I mean, I love the new flavors they put out, but to me, the mints were, or the BAWLS Buzz was a way to go. But who knows? Maybe they'll see this documentary and decide that to dust those off.
One batch makes over 500,000 pieces. That's enough to fill 8,000 tins.
We actually had developed a tea, so a guarana tea. It was called Guaranteed. I think it had an apostrophe in it. In a Snapple style bottle. I actually had a local artist do these very colorful, like tropical sort of like birds that it was, and with guarana berries, and then it was a guarana tea. And we were pretty close to launching that. But when things weren't, then that just sort of got shelved, because that was going to be a whole other thing. We decided to focus.
Hobie called up and kind of issued a challenge that, hey, we need some, like, the graphic element used in the bottle all the time is getting a little bit stale. But Hobie's like, we need some other elements. We need something that's like fun. So you guys like brainstorm some ideas, like what can we use, and so on and so forth. Then we came back with some ideas. Some made it in other formats. So like in the BAWLS Buzz, right, we had the guy, right, like kind of the cartoon guy. I mean, you probably call it an emoji now. But the idea was like, what if one of those bumps on the bottle jumped off, right? Like, and just like kind of fueled by the balls inside that bottle, that little bump, like bing, popped off. And my graphic designer at the time, a very talented guy named Rodrigo, kind of started playing around with some of those elements, and we liked it. And we liked it because it gave us some flexibility in what we could do. It wasn't, again, like the picture of the guy is still a guy, right? So when you go something a little more abstract, you have a little more flexibility.
Bouncy, I remember seeing on bus ads and stuff in Miami Beach before I ever worked at BAWLS. He was around. But we started adding him to a lot more stuff. He's just our representation of the bounce that BAWLS gives you. Yeah, he's just our, he's our guy. I used to love putting him on stuff. How do we work Bouncy into this? I remember he was on BMX jerseys. He was on paintball jerseys.
I think the first thing we used it on was coasters, like so somewhere to put your balls. And the back of the coaster, we had a little thing where you could write your name, stuff like that. Be like, this is my balls, so don't touch it or whatever else. And we had Bouncy, Bouncy on that. But then we need for other stuff. And then he gave him robot hands. And I remember being like, dude, like, what's with the robot hands? And Rodrigo, very matter of fact, he's Brazilian. He looks at me and this Brazilian says, yeah, because he's got robot hands. Like the cap. And I was like, that's it? He's like, yeah, that's it. And I guess maybe like he'd drawn like big blue hands or whatever, he didn't like it. So he liked the robot hands. Didn't cover up too much of the product and stuff like that. So somehow Bouncy had these robot hands that were, I think, evocative of the cap. But it was just one of those things where we, it sort of worked. It felt right, and sometimes, like you said, in marketing is a combination of like analytical information that you collect, about the people you're targeting. Then the art, that part that's a little harder to quantify, about the design, the art and stuff like that. And it was kind of a combination of those two things. So yeah, so he's one of the dots. Bouncy's one of the bumps on the bottle. Has made a break for it. I guess maybe some of the balls has seeped through, and he's out there living his best life, and he's got robot arms. Because why wouldn't he have robot arms?
So yeah, Bouncy's been around. He's our guy.
But to grow beyond the brand, Viewport needs to look beyond the gamers. But it's the gamers who've shown him the way to expand.
I mean, these were, gamers who we sponsored maybe their LAN party, and then they said, oh, well, I have a paintball team, and we'd love it if BAWLS get involved.
Initially, he says, he didn't really get it.
At first, we just sort of blew it off. We're like, oh, paintball, we don't know anything. Is paintball really that big? And then when we found that there was really no other beverage like ours in BAWLS, it just seemed like a great opportunity.
So we got into paintball. We even did like a paintball edition. I don't know if you can see, but there's like a splatter of paint on it. I remember I was actually having lunch, and I got a call from the office, and they're like, you need to come back to the office. Target just called. And I was like, okay. And so I remember I bolted back to the office, and I called the buyer who had called, and she's like, oh, my neighbors, or my kids and our neighbors are all playing paintball, and all they can talk about is balls. So, can you fly up to Minneapolis, because we'd like to test it in stores, which they did. With them, we did a paintball edition. We also did a BMX can 4-pack. I mean, how random that like her kids are just playing paintball, and then she saw it and she's like, oh, well, we need to carry this. And the next thing you know, we're in all their stores nationally.
The BMX stuff was cool too. I got to go to Evansville. I think I did a race down in Evansville and another one in Ohio, I want to say, where I had my BAWLS BMX jersey, and we were supplying, to the racers and everything. It was fun. I mean, they're diehard fans. I mean, people are coming going, I need another one. And it's like, I don't think you do, but here you go. So
I've been playing paintball since 2004, so this is kind of nostalgic for me. I used to see these drinks around a lot, when I was 11, 12 years old playing the game. They were the drink of the game back then.
I'll get on a bus at the airport tomorrow, and somebody's going to look and see my shirt and say, I played paintball in 2004. And BAWLS was the drink for paintball for years.
So I was first introduced to BAWLS, I think it was 2005, Chicago PSP. But every year at the PSP, they'd give out BAWLS for free, like crazy. I remember I came home once with 15, 20 BAWLS like in a bag, and they're just like, yeah, fill up your bag. And I was like, wait, they're free, so you think, oh, I can only have one. And they're like, no, take as many as you want. And you're just like, what do you mean take as many as I want?
We'd go up, and the girls, BAWLS girls, would just be handing drinks to everybody, all for promo. They had a BAWLS bunker and everything. It was pretty dope.
And you're a dumb 15-year-old kid, and you're like, oh, there's pretty girls giving me these sodas. Of course I'm gonna take them.
Playing paintball myself in the local Northwest scene. We were playing like a little bit higher division than we'd ever played before, and we ended up taking 4th place, and the prize for that was a case of BAWLS. And it was, most of the time you got kind of like random paintball gear you would never use, or just some ugly gear or whatever that people were just kind of get rid of. But having a physical big box of BAWLS, in the era of watching MTV Cribs, being able to have a refrigerator full of BAWLS was a really cool cool, memorable experience that, while it's nothing crazy or that far-fetched, it was, as a teenager, a really cool experience to have this energy drink just filled my refrigerator. And, we polished it off in maybe a couple days, but it was definitely something I look back on fondly.
I remember seeing a BAWLS field, and I was like, what? Like, that's so cool. And like, ever since I saw that on TV, I'm like, I have got to try some of this.
I've still been playing paintball for over 20 years, so like I saw them sponsoring, like they had bunkers that looked like the BAWLS bottles or cans, and then they actually sponsored video games too. They were actually in paintball video games on the fields and stuff like that.
BAWLS, we really dominated gaming, and we're looking at extensions of gaming. So we did a deal, like when we did the BAWLS promo, we did a deal with Greg Hastings Tournament Paintball, where we did a special pack of BAWLS, that used the special paintball promotional bottle that we had that had the paintball splats behind the logo itself.
I genuinely miss them in the sport of paintball. It's weird, there's no energy drink in the sport at all right now either.
It kind of was a fond memory to always go there, and like I knew BAWLS would be there. We always looked forward to it every year, coming home with a bunch of the sodas for free.
Yeah, so I'm a little biased, but I would love to see BAWLS come back into the paintball scene. Having been a prominent figure for years in this sport, when they left, it was definitely, they left a gap that has not been filled since then.
And I always thought their name matched with paintball well, because it's balls and paintball, and with the bunkers and everything. It was always really cool to see. Paintball, took a downturn in 2008. It was like up, like huge numbers, but then it's a very economic driven sport. So when the economy crashed around then, a lot of people couldn't afford to play, so then there's less money going into it. So if there's less people at an event, why would you sponsor it?
I know I speak for the majority of the paintball players that were around when BAWLS was shining in the sport, that we would love to have them back.
For sure, there's nostalgia there. Every paintballer that's been around for quite a while knows about BAWLS and has seen it and that. So it could be a good move for them, but it really just comes down to numbers of money versus eyeballs, So
BAWLS is special to me simply because it was there for me when I first was introduced to the national paintball scene. It was everywhere. Everyone was drinking BAWLS. They were sponsoring the event. They were just, anywhere you go, you would see a BAWLS can. And those are some of the most core memories of me for this sport that I've dedicated, 20 plus years of my life to, and have had some of my best memories and best friends made along the way through the sport, and BAWLS was right there for it.
I know they're still around. I just wish they were, back at paintball. I wish they were back at, honestly, just grocery stores and gas stations, just more readily available. I miss just being able to go randomly buy one. Yeah, I'm an adult and I can order it online and all that, but it's just like, oh, I'm going to the gas station, oh, I want a drink, and oh, hey, they got BAWLS, and buy it, and you just can't even do that anymore.
I want BAWLS in every single 7-Eleven, Plaid Pantry, grocery store. I don't want to have to have it be a search to find my local BAWLS dealer.
It's a difficult business because you literally, your marketing has to be in sync with your sales, because you literally have 2 seconds to capture somebody when they walk into a store. A LAN party and stuff like that, that's a completely different animal. That's a captive audience. I mean, you're going to give them a bunch of this drink and they're going to pound them down and sit there and play games all night. They're in. I mean, there's no question. It's on. For the retail side of it, I mean, it was more like, you literally have seconds to capture somebody's attention and bring them in. And, that's why it's such a competitive industry and such a competitive category.
We were in a lot of supermarkets, and a lot of times we were able to at least get maybe 2 slots or, or 4 packs or things on the shelf. The supermarkets make so much money selling that real estate that it's tough to get in there, and it's tough to stay there because if you don't make your numbers, you're out. And now in particular, because there's so much more information available about what's moving and what's not, that they can very quickly decide whether or not they're getting the revenue that they need out of that space.
It's just not easy. The demands that they place on you financially and operationally are pretty tough. And a lot of that has changed over the years as well, in that the economy and everything that goes on out there, business has tightened up and stores are more challenging to deal with.
Within 6 months of me going, they lost Target, they lost 7-Eleven, they lost a lot of big accounts. When those accounts don't get the attention that they need, they disappear. We had regional managers, state managers, because it just, in order to maintain that, you had to have so many people working on it to keep those relationships, to stay top of mind, even like with 7-Eleven, to be able to be in all their stores, to get the opportunity to develop and put in SnoBAWLS. All those things are very much relationship based and not, they're not just going to come to you.
That's why I love the mom and pop trade shows, because you're dealing with the husband and wife that own the store. They're going to make a decision on the spot. They're going to put you in and they're going to be honest with you. Whereas the big corporations, even more challenges will probably be coming down the way.
I learned, so much, from the experience there. And when I left, we were around 12 million in sales. We had about 60 employees. I started when I was 23, and even when I left at 36, the majority of the company was older than me, and it was very stressful a lot of times, leading a company where for so many years almost the majority of your employees are older than you, and some have more experience than you in certain areas, and trying to manage them and to lead them properly. There were definitely moments where it was overwhelming. In 2008, there was pressure from the investors to sell, because I think that they just thought it was a good time, because I think people saw what was going to happen in 2008. We had some investors who came in to sort of take us to the next level, and there were offers that came in. They did not feel that those offers were high enough. They thought we could do better. And that sort of turned into me being the problem. All the focus on marketing, on land parties, on all these other things that basically they're looking at it from a numbers game, that if they cut all these expenses and kept sales there, the company would be much more attractive for someone to purchase. And so that got a bit tense, let's say, at times. While I did own a significant portion of the company, and when we did get in the investment, I had signed a personal guarantee. They were very close to the bank, and they just basically said that they would call in the line of credit that I would be responsible for if I did not agree to leave. It was disappointing, and I did, but at that point it just wasn't fun anymore. I don't know, I felt sort of like a punching bag, because that's the other thing, is that besides dealing with that whole side of the business, I did care about our employees, and there were trying to keep 60 people happy all the time is tough. I think maybe it was just time, and the investors clearly had different ideas, and so that's sort of just what happened.
Greetings and welcome to the BAWLS Acquisition Corporate Office here in Northeast Ohio.
We had brought two teams of people together. We also own an energy drink, Crunk Energy, a brand that's been around since 2004. And we had the BAWLS team. We had just merged the two teams together in 2012 when I joined. So it was number one, to get to know the people. Really, the first order of business was I went to as many stores as I possibly could. I spent a lot of time in Micro Center. I spent a lot of time traveling and just really seeing the bottle on the shelf, and just trying to understand what can we do to take the brand to the next level.
Because the beverage category is a crowded category. You're up against the big boys of the beverage world. You're fighting for shelf space every day. So one of the biggest challenges for us is to find new customers, big and small.
I think one of the biggest things that we did when we did buy the brand was there were a lot of spokes to BAWLS, and there was BMX racing, there was paintball, there was fashion shows, there was everything. First thing I did do was it's about gaming. We had to focus on one. Number one, I saw that the gaming industry was going like this, and I think we picked the right lane. I'll support other things, but for the most part, everything we do, everything we spend money on is focused on the video game business. So one of the first orders of business was to identify what flavors could we expand from what our existing 3 flavors were. Staying true to our roots of a specialty soda, we tried to, take on that. And in Micro Center today, we have 11 flavors, 7 bottles and 4 cans.
I'm always excited to see what kind of new flavors they're doing. When they came out with, cherry balls, then they came out with ginger balls, they came out with the cola. That is always, to me, really exciting to see what evolution they're doing from that type of product line.
I don't know. So there have been some changes. I have tried, actually, I have the orange, I have the cherry. I always have a soft spot for the original, of course. That because that was the original one. So, the sugar-free is my favorite, is the one I would go to.
They have a great product right now with just the original balls, but stepping into those, new markets and trying different flavors has always been really something exciting for me, just as a enjoyer, but kind of like as a fan, like, okay, what can they come up with next that maybe they haven't tried, or that, something that's, hasn't been done before.
I guess one thing I'd like to see BAWLS do in the future is maybe expand the product line even more. We've got the single sugar-free flavor. Let's get some more sugar-free flavors out there, and maybe we can get hey, can we get that sugar-free root beer?
There's a lot more in the world of, health conscious, where I think they could probably be fine if they fine-tuned and made another few SKUs for zero sugar.
John, if you're listening or you're watching, I'm excited to see what you guys got in the think tank.
Well, I think one of the biggest things that came out of QuakeCon was our sales on the zero sugar product probably doubled over our prior year, and we had so many requests for what other flavors could we do with low or no sugar.
I mean, if you just walk in any convenience store now, the majority of the energy drinks that are in there are all sugar-free. It's what they're catering to.
We've been talking about that for quite a while, and I think we just have to really get serious about this and finalize some ideas. It's where the market is. It's hard to a degree to do it because caffeine's a bitter substance. It's a bitter flavor. So you've got to get the right taste, because another way to do it is not, because a lot of these guys are like maybe 10 or 15 calories. They're not zero, but they get it done. And that might be where we end up. We've just got to make a decision, commit to it, and get it done. So we will. 2025, we will have zero or low sugar options.
It's funny. So, after I did leave, because I just needed to get away, and the following weekend, I went with some friends down to Colombia to go surfing. We were drinking water out of those water pouches, so that's when I came up with the idea for 8 to Go.
Now there's a water that works and plays as hard as you do. 8 to Go delivers 8 ounces of essential purified hydration in a breakthrough portable package.
I started that right after. Well, it took about 2 years to actually get it, because we had to build a plan and redesign and do a lot of stuff to get that to market. And that was actually a great one. Like, I loved how that turned out. I didn't realize how competitive the water business is. And that was one actually was different. I actually chose to shut that one down, which was the right decision. And it was difficult. One company essentially owns all the water that you drink, except for when you move to premium brands like a Fiji water or a Voss. But when it comes to your run-of-the-mill water bottles that are either branded by your local supermarket or regionally like those, that's all one company. And that is very much competitive on price. Now, since what I designed used so little plastic, like the same as a bottle cap, that meant I could actually compete with them on price, which I didn't necessarily intend. That was not my intention. But after a year, we'd set up a plan, and we were doing really well. And then I got a call from the buyer, Publix. He's like, the buyer, or the company was just in and said that if we didn't remove you from all stores, that, he's like, you're in a tough spot. If they want you gone, he's like, this is a fight you don't want to fight. And I don't know how to tell you this, but he's like, I don't see how you're going to survive. You're on their radar and they don't like it. And that was tough. But then after that, I was like, I'm done with beverages. So after that, I went into textiles. We split our time between Miami and Marrakesh, Morocco. So that, I really enjoy textiles and enjoy the design process we produce in the US and also in Europe. But that also allows me to be wherever I want. I don't have to have lots of employees. I enjoy it a lot. I love learning the process of getting things made, whether, it was how to produce a soft drink or how to produce those water packets. There were also little like side things that I did after BAWLS where, since I run a lot, you get a medal at the end of every race. I have boxes of medals that are absolutely useless because now you're going to wear them around. So it had these little rubber band bracelets and we called them wearlets, where it was a copy of the medals, and we did them for races, and then you could just keep them on. It's like those Live Strong, those band bracelets. And I love the process of just learning metalwork and where you get things enameled and how you get I love the process of learning all those new things. Right now we're building a house in Morocco. That's its own job itself. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what's next.
BAWLS has been around for almost 30 years. How does it have that kind of staying power?
Actually, to be honest, I am surprised that, it has lasted as long. Like I was saying, like Nantic Nectars or Sobe or like all those, basically once they were purchased, they just sort of disappeared.
Look, there have been a lot of food and drink items that have come and gone. I mean, a majority of the products that have been released from 1997 have been discontinued.
I'm not sure what their secret is beyond just perseverance and continuing support of gaming events and just kind of being part of geek culture.
Now, why do I think that BAWLS has lasted for as long as it has? Well, first off, it's good.
The fans just keep coming back to it because the quality is excellent. I mean, it's the only energy drink I've ever tried that doesn't upset my stomach.
That again, right there, why BAWLS is continuing on is fans that have it will ask for it. They'll go to their local beverage, organization or where they're buying their drinks from, and they're asking, "Hey, you don't have BAWLS on your stock. What can you do to make that happen?" And I think that really helps drive the visualization about there's people out there that are diehard, and that's the type of beverage, that's the type of energy drink they want to consume.
Why is BAWLS last as long as it has? I'll say it comes down to, perhaps a deceptively simple answer, and it is this: it actually tastes good. I said it earlier, but the truth is that I would challenge anyone to say that the energy drink, even in this day and age, right, with all the advances supposedly we have in energy drinks, none of them taste good. They're all a bit of an acquired taste. Energy drinks are like scotch. No one drinks scotch the first time and says that's great, and I don't think anyone drinks an energy drink the first time and says that tastes great. Except BAWLS.
It is always cool when somebody's like, "Oh, I've never heard of that," and they try it and they're like, "Actually, this is really good."
I don't know why they came up with this name, but whoever it is, I mean, it's actually a really good tasting drink. It's really good. It's actually really good.
Again, you hear it, and I'm not here to slag or frag, perhaps a better word, the other energy drinks, but you hear people talk about how they consume other energy drinks. It sounds like it's medicine. It's like, oh yeah, no, I'll have to drink one of those. Right? When they say I have to drink, then that's not a drink they want to drink. But no one ever was like, oh, I have to drink a BAWLS. They wanted to.
They kind of live up to, you have a really caffeinated product, but it doesn't taste overly sweet. Yeah, it's sweet, but it's not like drinking Coca-Cola sweet or Jones soda or like some of the other products out there.
The people who have had it understand and probably spread it by word of mouth. I really challenge anybody that if they've never had one to drink one and tell me that it doesn't taste better than every energy drink on the market right now.
I can't go wrong with the original.
I also remember that this zero sugar BAWLS was actually really, really good, and I preferred it to the version that had full sugar, which is that's a pretty big win.
Ah, man, it's good. It's a good energy drink. This is a great sugar-free energy drink.
But I think it's kind of like one of those things where it's once you've tried it, you really like it, and almost because it's scarce, if you see it, you're gonna buy it just because you're like, oh, I don't know if I'll actually see this at a gas station or the grocery store again.
This beverage has survived multiple different methods of retail, and yet it was so good that even though opportunities to get it were few and far between, I still did the best I could to try to obtain as much as I could whenever I had the opportunity to do so.
If I was going to get deeper as to why I think BAWLS has had that long-lasting element, I will say something that comes to authenticity and honesty, right? It was able to connect with people in a real way, and for brands, it's really hard, right? BAWLS was never condescending. It was never trying too hard, right? That's it. That's like a death knell for a brand, trying too hard. Hobie was never trying too hard. He loved that people appreciated his drink, but he never wanted to pander to them.
BAWLS has been able to stand the test of time simply because they have a superior product. It genuinely is a delicious, good energy drink. The quality speaks for itself. The taste is unlike anything else out there. For that alone, a strong product can easily stand head and shoulders above a weak one, and BAWLS clearly has been able to do that.
I will see this, BAWLS was a no bullshit type of brand, right? They never pretended to be something they weren't, right? There was a respect for the audience. I said earlier, like, we didn't look at gamers as a demographic. Certainly I didn't. I was a gamer, right? I was a consumer first and then got the opportunity to work with the brand. But BAWLS was all, Hobie would always say to me, he's like, do stuff that's cool and it's honest, and the gamers will appreciate it and they'll come to it, right? We never said, I was going to line your chakras. We never said, oh, BAWLS, it has what plants crave. It's got electrolytes. BAWLS was, and it says in the bottle, highly caffeinated soft drink. It was caffeine, guarana caffeine. It was great flavor. And that's what we did. And working with a brand that wanted to be honest in this business is pretty refreshing.
Like I said before, I mean, we weren't selling, rocket fuel. You're selling fun. You're selling energy, right? You're selling things that get people going.
So Consumer Time Capsules, my YouTube channel, and my nom de plume on all my social media accounts. And we used to film reviews of new stuff that came out. And me and my filmmaker buddy, Ryan, we would stay up from 9 p.m. till like 4:30 in the morning, filming an entire month's worth of food and drink, and all junk food, right? And a lot of it really did melt together. But I remember reviewing those BAWLS sodas clearer than almost anything else, because the name and the wordplay.
Now these balls gotta be brown, right? And these balls are brown.
Oh, I got the blue balls. Here's the brown balls. You know, it's like, it's fun.
It's really fun to see the growth of the company, and still people to this day, when they see, you know, a BAWLS shirt, or they see someone with a can at a LAN event, and they're like, is that really what? Yeah, and it's like, yes, it is. And so there'll be people that'll reminisce stories like, oh, I remember drinking when I was in college, and that was, you know, you'd go down to the corner store and get like 3 or 4 bottles, and they were like a couple bucks each, and it was so good.
Energy drinks never really fade. It's one of those things where you're just different enough to where you can keep your foothold. I mean, back in the day, we had a distributor like in Michigan, for example, where they had Red Bull. We got them to bring BAWLS on board, and no one else was able to do that with energy drinks because they had exclusivity with Red Bull. But when you position it as BAWLS as a high caffeinated soda, it doesn't say BAWLS energy drink on it, right? So we were able to position it as that, and they were able to bring it in, and that kind of stuff. It's just that little point of difference that keeps it going.
Because they don't have like a crazy marketing, right? Like you don't see BAWLS on TV, you know, you don't see it really on the internet. Like I think the gaming community really has kind of latched around it in a way that you don't really see them latch onto other like products, and it has such a unique novelty to it that I don't think ever wears off, right?
And the name is fun, and the flavors, I mean, I think they have ginger, and they have root beer, and they have cherry, and then the original. It's still unique, it's still different enough, and it still has that functionality of that high caffeine that people want.
Most major beverages that are out there massively advertise. Billboards, commercials, everything, print ads and things like that. We need BAWLS to have a billboard. And the best part is that the billboards have already been designed. They put them in one of the Fallout games, for goodness sakes.
Stay up drink. BAWLS. Is it called BAWLS?
I can't tell what that f***ing says.
I see BALS, and then there's something in the middle that looks like a W.
BAWLS. Oh yeah, that's BAWLS, dude. That's BAWLS for sure.
That's BAWLS. That's BAWLS.
How I view stuff is like companies that support my passion. So like I love paintball. I'll always try to buy from. So I still buy BAWLS to this day, just because they supported stuff that I like. So
I think that BAWLS has stayed around as much as it has, partly because of QuakeCon. I'm sure that QuakeCon isn't the driving force, but it definitely gets the name out there. I think that it's also because the name. I think the name is just comic worthy, maybe meme friendly.
Well, I mean, I laughed at the name BAWLS, and because the cans were blue, I was like, ah ha ha, blue balls, you know.
I'm here with Becca, and she has a message for everyone.
I love BAWLS.
There you have it. She loves BAWLS.
There's so many puns that I'm going to make with this.
Because if you don't got balls, this does.
Let's face it, the reason why it's stuck around for 21 years is because people still do not get sick of BAWLS wordplay.
Saying drink my balls was always something that got you a hell of a response.
I told you to keep your lips off my balls. All right, here.
BAWLS is an inspiring drink. You can joke about BAWLS every moment of every day for the rest of your life.
Literally, we're drinking balls. Blended testicles.
BAWLS?
BAWLS is one of those things to where it's a rarity when you don't drink it when you're with someone else. It's almost like a beer. You know, you're usually when you're drinking it, you're at a LAN party or you're at a friend's house who's got it and that wants to share it with you. Like you're not drinking it daily like some of us might, but for the most part, like it's a very community-based drink.
It's an important distinction to make in terms of why it's going to have better memories attached to it, right? Because it is always better to share. It's better to have witnesses. It's better, especially in this case, to have the banter around it. But I think that there's a variable in there that really should be celebrated. Somebody's got to be rebuying BAWLS. I can't imagine that it's all just impulse buys by folks that only had it, you know, once a decade.
So I think BAWLS has lasted as long as it has, mostly because of the community that it has maintained and really taken care of. I don't know that they would be as successful as they are without this community.
I mean, anything you need, you let us know. We love to support the lands. And whether it's a paid sponsorship or we'll ship some product in for free. We try to work it out where it makes sense for everybody.
I mean, to me, it completely holds up. It's unheralded, right? I mean, it doesn't get the publicity that everybody else gets, but it's a fantastic brand, and the taste was phenomenal. Because at the end of the day, you could have a lot of people interested in your name, but they have to open it and they have to drink it and they have to want to buy another one, right? And BAWLS, I think, was different enough and tastes good enough for people to keep doing that.
It's a really good product with really innovative packaging, and it hasn't changed. It hasn't tried to get too gimmicky or tried to change, to sort of meet different trends or anything.
They have all this competition, right? I mean, you have Monster, you have Red Bull, who's, trying to do the same thing, getting into these gaming conventions, and giving away even.
The drink is what it is, and it's loyal to who drinks it. It's loyal to its customers, to the gamers.
The world has changed since those early days, right? LAN parties aren't quite what they were. I mean, the internet and high-speed internet has supplanted that. But I still think there's a need. There's for products that are, again, authentically part of a culture to be able to be accessible and to do things to elevate that culture. I mean, the media at one point called it the Gatorade of gamers. It kind of fit, right? So even now, to me, they say a smell can bring you back to a place, but to me, take a sip of BAWLS and I'm thinking about those CRT monitors glowing. I'm thinking about those Ethernet cables dragging across tables, sitting with friends, having pizza, playing in a LAN party, and that experience. And it's so BAWLS is so woven into the tapestry of that I think it is pretty cool. And to me, it's 20 something years, right? We're 2025 right now having this conversation, and I have a sip of BAWLS. I'm right back in 2005, 20 years ago, thinking about all that, and I think it's pretty remarkable.
I think really the only reason BAWLS still exists is because of the gaming community. I think without their loyalty and devotion to product, I think that's what's given its longevity. And because it is nice to still see it and nice to see this still there, because a lot of people don't, have that, and it's the lifeblood of the brand.
This kind of consumer devotion is what gives the BAWLS brand its buzz.
Activity like this gives our brand credibility, because they're looking at it, they're like, okay, if these people are drinking, they're using it to stay up and they're using it to have fun, then there must be something to it, because they're not paid spokespeople, they're actual consumers who are out there promoting it.
The manager's really nice to us, and
Danny's also.
So we're just returning the favor.
It was their idea to tape it to their bodies. It was their idea to run around the mall. And I'm sure if I told them, I said, if you need to tape this to your body, you need to run around the mall, they'd never do that, and I wouldn't expect them to.
It brings back a lot of those memories, right? It's like you're like, it's like the good times when you got to go to QuakeCon. It was just an absolute blast. Everybody had one. Everybody was having a good time. It was kind of almost a ritualistic staple. Very first thing, you walk in the door, you go buy a can of BAWLS and you crack it open. You and the guys, you chug it. That's how you start QuakeCon.
I flew in, and one of the first things I did was at about 10 a.m. I cracked a nice cold can of original and just kind of savored the moment of QuakeCon through the day.
It's one of those things to where I feel like, again, they're at the heart of QuakeCon. They've been there to support it, and I think that brand loyalty is something that they've built is huge.
I can't go to QuakeCon without seeing BAWLS everywhere. It's a BAWLS party.
It's almost kind of like a weird godification of the product itself, right? We went every year and there was always some crazy, ridiculous group that was building the biggest BAWLS tower. I think things like that just add to this unique novelty that builds these memories too, right?
People come into QuakeCon, I know I do, where I'm like, hey, I know I got $100, I'm buying 4 cases of BAWLS to take home. And then even then after QuakeCon, I'm ordering, some cases when they got free shipping deals coming on.
Their ability to market and keep their kind of niche product line has been really well for them. And I think that's really what has kept BAWLS in the market, is the die-hard LAN goers, the younger generation that, we picked it up early in the 2000s, but we've continued to support it as it's kind of gone on.
I really feel like their continued support of the community has built brand loyalty more than anything.
I think just a lot of memories with, LAN parties at my house with my friends, QuakeCon in particular, some of the, people that I've met, online over the years, we've met at QuakeCon, and, BAWLS and drinking those together at the events, to me, that's like one of the most, kind of memorable things about what makes BAWLS special to me in particular.
It brings back memories of previous QuakeCons. It brings back memories of friends. As silly as that is to say, every time I drink one, it's like I'm back in the BYOC. I'm back in there and everyone's whooping and everyone's just gaming, having a great time. There's just camaraderie. Everyone's just happy, and I don't know, it brings back nostalgia and it brings back that happy place.
My name is Kumo. This is my 17th or 18th QuakeCon. I've been on staff for the event for about 12 years now. And one of my favorite things about QuakeCon is just, showing up here, and we get here the weekend before, and we're just drinking BAWLS the whole time during setup. We're drinking BAWLS the whole time during the event. We're drinking BAWLS when we're tearing everything down. And we're usually, the staff gets a lot of BAWLS to take home to keep us going through the post-con blues. So thank you guys, and let's keep drinking BAWLS for many years to come.
I'm Devil Sent Mark. I've been coming to QuakeCon now for 9 years, I think. The person that took me to my first QuakeCon, the first words he was saying to me was he needed some balls in his mouth. And I'm sitting there like, what? So we go up, he grabs it, Chugging is on stage, and so I go, okay, I'll buy one. And ever since then, it's always there. It's a part of every single event that I've been to, whether it's LAN all night, QuakeCon. I mean, it's just like the documentary said, it's good. It does not make my stomach hurt, which is a big deal. Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of like QuakeCon is home and BAWLS is home too.
And to have a brand like BAWLS be a part of that and associated with that, and the fact that you can get a bottle of BAWLS right now, and it's the same as the bottle of BAWLS at that LAN party in 1996 or 1999 or 2003, the fact that they've been able to maintain that consistency, the branding, the packaging, the flavor, is something that really needs to be celebrated and supported.
It still tastes exactly as I remember it does. It tasted incredible back then, it tastes incredible now, and it woke me up.
This community has just really owned this drink. If you tried to take it away from them, there would be a revolt. There is no other drink that has this kind of community.
The one thing that is so evident from all of these generations of products that I've saved and archived is that unless it is a absolutely monstrous corporate entity, everything has a death date. There's gonna be a last day when you can buy BAWLS. So we better celebrate it and support it while it's here. Whether that's a month from now, a year from now, a decade from now, or 128 years from now. There's gonna come a day when there's no BAWLS.
The brand's strong amongst the nerd community, and hopefully it's enough to keep them sustained and growing in the future.
How do you really describe an emotional experience? This product has meant a lot to me. Some of it had to do with my positive experience that I have, staying up late at night, basically trying to get those last components assembled on a new computer. And on top of that, it's good. It's just good. I don't know what that tells you about me, that this beverage has been a big part of my life, but it has. And I'm grateful for it.
And thanks to the folks at BAWLS for keeping that product true to itself and understanding your audience, understanding your market, and maintaining that atmosphere of consistency that almost nobody has over the last 3 decades.
You guys are great. Honestly, you guys are great. That's all I gotta say. You guys were a big part of kind of those core memories, especially through what, high school, kind of early college and stuff like that.
Hands down, BAWLS is here to stay because gaming ain't going anywhere. In fact, it's growing bigger. So the hope is that they can continue to get sponsorships. They can continue to work with distributors and push their product out even further.
When we have something that we can still kind of cling to, we really should. I mean, that's such a triumph and such a success that it has lasted the 28 years that it has. I hope that it lasts many, 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 many more. But just in case it doesn't, go find it and get it.
It'll always hold a place for me. It's why I still have this jersey, and I won't let it go. Not that I ever wear it anywhere, but how can you get rid of something like that, right? Because it's just cool. Again, the people and the relationships that I built there, and we're also long-term fantastic relationships with some people, and the brand just still lives, man. It still pounds. It's awesome. It's good stuff.
So my challenge to anybody watching this is, if you haven't tried it, you absolutely positively should. And if you have tried it, you should try it again, or you should try another flavor. Tell a friend, share it with a friend, get a second one for your buddy.
Just keep buying it, man. Just keep it around. It's unique. Don't be afraid to try it. I mean, it's like one of those things. You see it in the store, try it. Just give it a shot. Firmly believe they'll be back to buy more. Keep it around.
As long as there's gamers who need to stay up a little late, I think BAWLS will be there. It's a great product.
Beverages disappear all the time, so it's nice to hear that I might be able to buy it for a few more years to come.
We're thankful for your support, and we look forward to many more years of continued success together.
It works. Stay up, drink BAWLS. And it's still true to this day.
Stay up, drink BAWLS.
It's not about the event. It's not about the activities that go on here. It's about your friends and the people. The games just bring us together. What we really want out of it is to be together. It's community.
Well, this was one of our first posters. It was the Ladies Got Balls, and it was a Lady Godiva. And so we actually did shut down Ocean Drive. We did have a horse. She did have pasties on the front, but she is, so I mean, it was quite a morning. I'll never forget when we shot that. And I actually was just telling my wife, I just realized when we shot this ad, almost exactly 1 year later, this is where Gianni Versace was shot. Like, that's where he picked up his newspaper before he had, like, a year after this, because this is 96 and he was shot in 97, which is sort of odd. This is framed by a friend's article from USA Today. We were on the front page of the Life section. This was our 5-year anniversary party that we had. You know, I have a lot of stuff in storage. Like, I pulled this one out. Actually, okay, this is the Dallas Stars, the ice hockey team. They were huge drinkers of the product, so they sent me, and they're like, of course, we're going to say we love your balls. So, and then they all signed it. It's funny, after I left BAWLS, I sort of, I went through like a period of, after drinking so much of it every day and SnoBAWLS, and just, I sort of went through a drying out period, because that's right around the time I started running every day. And to this day, every morning when I get up, the first thing I have every morning is a 5-hour energy. Every morning. So that's sort of my caffeine go-to is 5-hour energy, which I do love, and drink a lot of. Probably one of their best customers.
Now if you wanna do yourself a favor, get yourself some BAWLS new cherry flavor, and tell your secretary to hold your calls, 'cause you're sipping on some cherry balls. Drinking cherry balls is such a blast, flying through the air like a rocket fast. Extra energy if your engine stalls, sipping on some cherry balls. You love that cherry taste, it's a fruit sensation that explodes like a bomb. Not one drop goes to waste. Visit us at BAWLS.com. People drinking BAWLS on Park Avenue, movie stars and diplomats and so can you. Groovy college kids in study halls are sipping on some cherry balls. Yes, we're sipping on some cherry balls.